Hey, Kyla.
Yes, Ivan.
Hey, Kyla.
Yes, Ivan.
See, I got a crazy idea, but I think it might really work. You know what I'm saying?
If it's coming from you, it's definitely crazy.
Hater. Anyway, so like, wouldn't it be crazy dope if we had like a poetry show with dope poets from all over the country will come in, spit bars, tell stories, and like, you know, I'd be the host.
Of course, of course.
I mean, I guess you could host too, but like.
Oh, aren't you kind?
That's kind of what we're doing right now, huh? I'm a genius, right?
Oh, is that what that
see,
is?
that's the big. See, anyway. Hey, y'all. First, before we get into the show that was so geniusly thought of by the genius, I have to let you know that our sponsors, as well as the Everybodies Network, is responsible for this moment right here in time. Take a snapshot. All right? It allows you to tell your story because your story is important. So, speak up.
But wait.
Wait.
We have to hear from the sponsors.
The big bread got something to say. So we'll be right back.
Woo! Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, Chanel Ellis, aka Explicitly Sha, is a graduate of the Grambling State University, a phenomenal poet, Nico's mom, and probably your toddler's favorite preschool teacher. Everyone, please give it up for Chanel Ellis, aka Explicitly Sha.
I'm lying on my twin-size bed watching him get dressed. As he buttons his pants, he tells me how my pussy is the best. It's tight, it's wet, it squirts, it grips his dick like a million tickling hands, and he won't even begin on my head. I love you, Jen. I just don't understand why it's easier for you to fuck me than it is for you to call me your man. I promise I'm not like these other niggas. Why won't you let me in? And shaking my head, I have no reply. He once again asks in frustration, why won't you let me in? And finally, I find my voice and I say, because in reality, I am a walking insecurity. So excuse my obscure impurities, but for 23 years, I've worn grandma's smile of distress, Mother Torn's dress, and father's handprints around my neck, and he looks taken aback. I know that comes off as a little complex, so allow me to take you back to the beginning. Back before I knew the difference between good and bad snow, like white was okay and yellow meant no, and those thin white lines on the table weren't meant to be touched by me, but they were sugar for daddy's nose. Ooh. I would laugh as he danced and wiggled his shoulders and cleared his throat before he would repeat my least favorite saying, you know you're my world, right? Daddy's big girl. Now, give me a twirl and let me see your pretty gown. That's it, big baby. Now come get daddy a kiss. I stood before him, wearing pigtails, a snag-a-tooth smile, and a Pocahontas t-shirt I believe was just a little bit too provocative because my father looked at me in a way that I still can't comprehend to this day and licked his blackened lips. Or it could have been my buppies that were merely nipples on my chest, or the fact that mommy was always too drunk to fulfill her wifely duties. So no matter how many times I hid in the back of the closet, the monster always seemed to find me. I was an easy prey, an easy lay, an easy slay, and this was every day. I think he just liked to decorate my princess underwear with bloodstains, like he was leaving a trail for Aladdin to find Jasmine or for Snow White to Prince Charming. This was my reality. Mommy would stumble in and tell me to quiet down. As daddy lifted my gown, he would trace every tear that left my eye with his tongue. And as his fingers explored the inside of me, I prayed to God to save me, and of course he did the opposite. Months later, my training bras no longer fit, and I became a woman. I lost my virginity to a chorus of grunts from my father and my favorite uncle. They split my preteen body in two. My mind was left to rot as my body count prospered. Do you know how many times I tasted myself for breakfast? Wow. Do you know how many times daddy kissed mommy with me on his lips? How many of my friends shook my father's gin-scented hands? And you have the nerve to stand there and begin to cry, but you wanted to have this conversation, so let's have it. Wow. I confided in Grandma for her to only smile and say it was a rite of passage. What? Grandpa did it to Mommy and her father to her, and our business is our business, and those family secrets better not ever leave those doors. Come on. And with that, I gave up on life. I gave up on becoming a wife. I gave up on love. I gave up on you before I even knew you existed, and that's why there will never be an us. All I know is lust. I can fuck you and feel nothing, but to expect you to love me, to trust you, to expect you to accept me and my baggage is a little bit too much. Wow. And in a swift motion, He fell to his knees, arms placed around my waist. He rested his head in my most sensitive place, and although I flinched at his touch, I prepared myself to feel his tongue because that's what I'm used to. But instead, I felt a ticker from his whisper. His voice was so powerful, it began to shake my thighs, and I realized this man was praying for me. He prayed until I replaced Grandma's smile with that of my own. He prayed until I took off Mommy's dress and put on something a little bit more comfortable. He prayed until Father's handprints were covered in scripture. He prayed until those scriptures were covered in necklaces linked together by love. He prayed until Daddy's girl became a woman. I could stand in front of an audience, fully clothed, emotionally naked, and recite her truth. Thank you.
Jessica Raquel, aka Brown Suga, is a professional storyteller and an actress who hosts her own funky podcast called Brown Suga Said It. As a FAMU alumni and a Florida girl, Raquel grew up immersed in the culture of storytelling as a form of artivism and medicine. In the midst of her depression, Raquel made her own stage through her book, Orange Painted Red, and her blog, Brown Suga Said It. She marches to the beat of her own drum and speaks from the soul. Without further ado, y'all come on, give it up one time for Jessica Raquel, aka Brown Suga.
To the books that freed us, to the stories that know us by name, to the pages that bend and spines that flex when our own are broken, snapped, to the snaps, the encouragement, to keep writing our shackles off, tossed aside, we a people obliged to abide or be cast away in the margins, where letters fall off paper, into the silence, the unread, the divided. Stand behind red line or risk being target, as the vast white of this sheet swallows you whole until you feel unworthy of taking up space with the stain of your ink, of your think, the overwhelming familiarity of imposter syndrome holds you hostage. As soon as you try to step foot on blue line, as soon as you think you are worthy of incline. But alas, let's raise a glass to the syllables who escaped syllabus before the propaganda peaked. Oh yeah, peeped his head out from behind folded sheet, set up camp in the subtext to the subject sleeps, to the unanswered wise whine as their answers weep, because they know the truth about the whats and the whens and the reasons and the treatment, while black and brown pens warrant such contempt, while the caged bird is bald eagle, no equal, while the sign of an acute, bequeathed people is defined by the context of their rights or lack thereof, and this trigonometry that shows our kind so much love.
Oh, wow, girl.
So much attention
Okay.
is placed on this specific part in the curriculum, so we sit on edge of margin, hoping to hear the lesson. Shh, y'all. The professor finally speaks. Ooh, and it's a real treat. Don't you just love when they attempt to teach you back to yourself? Rewrite your feats till you become arch nemesis to your own soul. Backpedal on cruise control. Oh, how we've gotten to know reverse so well. And eraser too. Whiteout, backspace like backhanded compliments, red ink correctional, red blood contextual, and disconnection to the continent. Cool. We, the broken pencils, who have never really had use for our erasers, our backtrack, only creation, who have found our ways to leave our marks. Toast. To the books who freed us, to the stories who know us by name, to the pages that bend and spines that flex when our own are broken. Snapped. To the snaps, the encouragement,
Yes.
to keep writing our shackles off no matter how many times they try to put them back on. It's cool. Because that pencil, it keeps writing.
Hey, welcome back. That concludes another glorious episode of our show.
If you like what you heard or heard what you like, then like, click, subscribe, comment, share this episode where you tell your story because your story is important. So, speak up. We'll see y'all next week, man.
Bye. Share love, not COVID.